Hi, this is Megan Dorsey from College Prep Results. Today I'm going to share with you a free resource that will help answer this common question: how do I know if my SAT or ACT scores are good enough for one of the schools on my list? We're going to take a look at the College Board's website. That's collegeboard.org. You can see here on my screen, we've got the homepage as it exists today. What I'm going to do to find it today is I'm going up to the top next to where you can see this little acorn in the black box that says College Board. I'm clicking the pull down arrow, and then I can see their options. Under Access, I find College Search. I click that. Of course, you might save a step and just simply Google College Board's College Search tool, and it should bring you up to a page that looks like this. I have other videos talking about some of the great features that you can find here, but one of the things we're going to specifically do today is look at particular schools. So let's say that in my searching, I've decided that I like NYU. We can see it will prompt me New York University, the full name of the school, and I can click through there. Now, I probably should have next to me, maybe on a notepad, listing of my current SAT or ACT scores. Once I'm on the page for NYU, a lot of information you can find here, but the place I want to go look is over here on the left-hand side where it says Applying. That's going to give me information about the application numbers process there at NYU. Couple good things to look at. Obviously, we can see the total number of applicants and the total number of students who were admitted from that previous year's class and the number who enrolled. I want to scroll down just a little further until I see all of these options, and I'm interested today in SAT and ACT scores, so I'm going to click that tab. Now, just a side note, we should all recognize that the College Board is the corporation that brings us the SAT, so the data presented here is weighted to show more SAT information than ACT. That's okay. You're still going to find a lot of good ACT information, but for some schools you may not have as much data. That's okay. It's still going to give us a good idea. I can scroll down, and it says the SAT after March 1st, in other words, the current test as opposed to the old test. Here's what we're looking at. High scores, how do you stack up? When it's talking about mid-range, we're talking about the middle half of the class that was accepted to NYU had these particular scores. And so if I'm going down here to the math portion, let's say I have a 650 on my math. I can look at that and say, okay, that's within the block. That means that the middle half of the people admitted had between a 650 and a 770 on the SAT math. But I also know that maybe I'm on the real low end of that. Doesn't mean that I won't get in, but it might offer me a little incentive to study, prepare for the test, and retake it. I look at my results in evidence-based reading and writing, and I might see, oh, wow, 680 to 750. Thank goodness I have a 730. I feel relatively confident with that. Does that mean I'm a shoo-in to NYU? Absolutely not. But it does tell me that my score there in evidence-based reading and writing is good enough. Now, let's say you're looking from an ACT perspective. That's the test you favor. That's the test you've taken. I can see back scrolling up a little bit that there's an ACT tab, and I'll click on that right here. I was working with a student this fall who was looking at NYU, whose highest ACT score at the time was a 29. So let's say if we were her preparing for admissions and we say, oh, I have a 29, oh, only 34% of the people scoring between a 24 and a 29, and that is a pretty big range, were admitted. We don't know, if all of them had 24s, all of them had 29s, or somewhere in between. But we can look at the fact that a big majority, 65% of the admitted students had higher scores as an incentive to maybe take the test again. So I would look through the different schools on your list and get some more information. Same student who was interested in NYU was also interested in Columbia. I go back up to the search box. Columbia, finish typing it in. I can hit search. Notice there are a lot of different schools, so you want to be careful if there are schools that share similar names that you're getting the right one. Trinity University in Texas as opposed to Trinity College. Here I am at Columbia University. Tells us a medium-sized school in a large city. I again go over to the left-hand side, click the applying button, and I'm going to go to the SAT and ACT scores for Columbia. Ooh, we can see already, even though NYU is a competitive university, we can see the numbers at Columbia are much higher. Right there, if I go back to my previous example, I said I had a 650 in math. I would look and say, that doesn't mean it's impossible to get into Columbia with a 650 in math. We know that 25% of the admitted students had scores lower than those shown in this shaded box here. But it does provide me the incentive to say, maybe I need to retake the test, maybe I need to work a little harder, or if I've really reached my personal maximum, I might say, I'm going to keep this school on my list knowing that it's going to be a little harder to get in, hoping I'm bringing in really strong grades and other factors. Or in some cases, I counsel clients to consider maybe removing a school from their list. Maybe it isn't, with all the other factors considered, a good match. Again, if I said maybe I had a 730, it doesn't look quite as good as it did when I was looking at the NYU numbers. Comparing Columbia on the ACT, 93% had a 30 or above. So my student with a 29 struggled with the issue, should she retake? Because a 29 is a good score, but something higher, something in the 30s, would make her more competitive for Columbia. You can do this over and over with all the different schools on your list. I've shown you two with relatively high scores, so I don't want anyone to panic and think, man, it's going to be really impossible for me to get into college. Use this as a good way to answer the question, are my scores good enough? Do I need to retake the test? Do I need to seek out some private tutoring or a quality preparation class in my area? And maybe I need to expand or edit the schools on my list. For more information, go over to collegeprepresults.com, sign up for my weekly mailing list.